Testing, testing, testing. Check, check, check. Check, 1, 2, 3, check, 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 checking, checking. Check, check, check.
Coach Joe, thanks for the time. We'll start with opening thoughts on the game from both of you and then take questions.
I felt like we were right there most of the game. I thought we did a great job on defense, made a ton of little effort plays in between the lines. I think down the stretch we made a couple mistakes that really cost us, and against good teams, like Coach talked to us about that earlier in the week, you can't make mistakes against those guys. They're a team full of a lot of veterans, and they capitalize on it, and that's what happened for the game-winning goal. And, I know we'll be better next week, but it definitely hurts because I feel like that one was well within our reach.
Yeah, I mean, for an opener, pretty good game on both sides. Obviously, they're a really good team. They did a great job defensively, pushing out on our shorties and making it difficult to get into offense. I thought we did a pretty good job of handling that. Honestly, I thought we had a ton of opportunities and just didn't finish, and that has a little bit to do with us and a lot to do with Dobson. He made a lot. I don't even know how many saves he had, but it seemed like a lot. And to Joe's point, right, in a game like that against an opponent like that, when you make a mistake, they're going to take advantage of it. And we made a couple. And when you make a little mistake and you're not able to put the ball in the cage, right? I mean, it's a fine line in a game like that. And unfortunately, we came out on the other side of it. But I think that our young guys learned a lot. And again, we really fought and competed. Just got to do some things better, and we'll get better.
Miles?
Joe, you and Coach both mentioned some mistakes that you guys made down the stretch. Can you just clarify a little bit about maybe what specific mistakes you guys made later in the game?
Yeah, we made a couple mistakes in the sub game. We had some guys run off the field that led to unsettled situations for them. And, we also, a couple forced passes into the inside that, again, led to, we lost some possessions. But, some things we got to clean up in the sub game that, that they were able to take advantage of.
Adam?
Coach, 15 wins for Joe at the face-off stripe, but just a lack of early offense there. Obviously, that was a strong point last season. How do you get that going in 2025?
We got to obviously got to do a better job with it. We've worked on it. We've talked about it. They certainly, play a part in it. But I'd like to look at the film because, early offense and being able to create offense, I think we had some opportunities and we didn't finish them. Certainly started off slow in the early offense, but we started to do some things that I thought started to create a little bit more. But again, we've got to do a better job. It's a fast clock. Have some new young guys in there, and you can do whatever you want to do in early offense and create, but it doesn't make a difference if you don't put the ball by the goalie.
Zach.
Coach, what makes Connor Fields so difficult to contain?
I mean, I drafted him in the MLL. He's like Gumby. He does such a great job of playing off pressure. You put pressure on him, he's able to counter it. He's as good as anyone, at that. We probably took a swipe at his stick one time, and, he was able to get off field on us. A couple of them were off ball. He puts himself in the right position. He's smart. He's a good finisher. I mean, he's just a really good all-around player. And again, that his ability to just handle pressure and turn it into an advantage is big.
Kyle?
Yeah, for Joe, a lot of new faces on this offense for you guys this year. What did you make of Matt Brandow and Aiden Carroll's debuts for the Whipsnakes, and how do you feel like those two are going to contribute and play really well alongside TJ?
I feel like they did a great job today moving the ball, moving their feet, and creating space for others and themselves. We obviously, like Coach said, can a few more of those shots. I think we're sitting here with a much different feeling. It's game one, and they had a pretty big learning curve going against probably, one of the best defenses, if not the best, and one of the best goalies. So I think next week we've really got to sink our teeth into shooting the scout and finish when we get our chances, and we'll be in a much better spot. But I like where those guys have, been at all week. I think today was a great learning lesson for not only them but the whole team, and we'll be better next time.
Miles?
Coach, the timeout early in the fourth quarter, we heard on TV that it was supposed to be a design play, kind of run for TJ. Can you walk us through what you saw and maybe a little bit of the breakdown that happened on that play?
Play didn't break down. They played it well. They pushed out. They held on the pick. We didn't get to that. We got to the second part of it, and we just didn't. We didn't finish it off. I don't know that it broke down. Honestly, they did a pretty good job defending it.
Adam?
Yeah, question for Joe. Always a good matchup with you and Mike Sisselberger, but dominant performance today. What was just going well today for you?
I think I talk with the wing guys quite a bit. I'm pretty lucky. I got Adam Patro, who I think is one of the best short sticks on the ground in the league, and Colin Squires, and we communicate pretty frequently. They're both very good listeners, and we've just talked through tendencies, and we kind of know where Mike likes to put the ball. He's always going to win clamps. He has great hands, but he puts it into spots where those guys were, and I try to just do everything I can to make it tough and keep the plays alive. And when us three are on the same page, I feel like we're a pretty tough unit to go against. But yeah, credit to Mike. He's a great face-off guy. I think we just got some of the bounces today, and obviously we've been on the other end of that. So, I expect next time we see those guys, it might be a little bit different, but we're going to keep doing our thing.
Last question, Zach.
Coach, what was the scout on Sam King coming into today? He had 3 assists. What did you see from him?
There was no scout, right? We saw him in college. So, it's first game, opener. We knew that he was going to be a tough cover as a midfielder. He's quick. He's got a really good IQ. And, he made some plays, but it's not because, it has nothing to do with a scout. I mean, I don't know if they knew what our new guys were going to be like either. It's, you're just kind of playing on this first game a little bit. I mean, we certainly knew what their tendencies were from the guys who we've played against. We've played against them enough times. We didn't know a lot about Sam, but, honestly, at the end of the day, if we made him a feeder instead of a scorer, it's probably what we wanted to do.
Thank you both. See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Coach Connor, Brett, congratulations on the win. We'll start with opening thoughts on the game from each of you and then take questions.
I'll start. I'm still wet. I think I'm going to be wet here for a little while, but it didn't impact the game. Well, I take that back. It impacted the game a little bit, I think, early, just getting our feet under us and realizing skip passes were going to be a challenge. That's a really good game, and I'm proud of our guys, because we can bank that win. It wasn't pretty. There's a lot to improve upon, but at the end of the day, I thought Dauber had a great game. I thought defensively we were really good. And there's times offensively where I'm like, I'm a lousy offensive coach. Just give the ball to Fieldsy and let him do his thing, because we had trouble putting it in the back of the net and generating shots. But all things considered, it's an awesome win. We're happy after training camp to be 1-0, and onward we go.
Yeah, a win's a win. We'll take that any day of the week. There's no surprise Fieldsy's the mayor here, right? So I think him showing up, having the game he had, I could have told you that was going to happen. But I thought defensively we played great. I thought Haas did a lot of really good things, a lot of big plays down low down the end of the game. Spider had a huge game, first game for the rookie. He got his wings there. I felt like he did a great job. Woody bumping up top, and Warren covering TJ Malone. That's not an easy ask, right? I thought he did a great job covering them, and I felt our rope unit did a hell of a job keeping their middies in check. So, the defense was great. Offense was awesome. I'm glad we beat them by one, and they don't ask how, they ask how many.
And I'll just add. I think obviously it starts up top with our coaches, but on the field itself, it starts in the back end, and that's that's Dauber, that's our defense. I feel like we have the best unit back there as a whole, and I think they show it game in and game out. Dauber some huge saves for us. Defense made some big stops. Haas with a couple big hits, no surprise there. But I think that sets the tone for our team, and that fires us up offensively. I know offensively we get a lot of the the glamour and the attention, but those guys back there are really what makes this whole thing go. And it was obviously, as you see today, it was a little sloppy, but they held us in it the whole game, and then we could pull away at the end. So it was a good win.
For Coach and Connor, Sam King is the third PLL rookie ever to have 3 assists in his debut. Just what did he bring to the offense today?
Yeah, he's a matchup problem, right? He's a dude who I'm sure has not been short-sticked since middle school. But we just told him, and I give our guys credit because they let guys play, and he's not back down from the moment at all. And, I reminded him before the game, like, go make plays. So drawing double teams, moving the ball, I thought that unleashed us a little bit because we weren't, frankly, winning matchups, but he was doing enough to draw hedges and a little bit of slide where it did kind of open us up. So, he's going to help us. He's a good player, and it was fun to see him, on the big stage today.
Yeah, I think, Coach nailed it. I think, simply put, he's a matchup nightmare, like Coach said. I think he can attack from anywhere. He's very versatile in that. He could dodge from up top, he could dodge from the wing, he could dodge from X, so he gives us a lot of different looks, but he also gives defenses a lot of different things to have to prepare for and have to cover. So, he sees the field great. Not only that, he can put the ball in the back of the net. That scrimmage, I think he had, 2, 3, 4 goals. So he's not one-dimensional either. He could take it to the rack and score, or he could take it to the rack, draw a slide, and make a play, a pass. So for us to have him, he's been a huge asset all through camp, and he showed it today.
Aiden?
Connor, I know you probably could ask every year now, but what does it mean to put up another great performance?
What does it mean to put up another great performance in Albany?
It's a special place, I feel like coming out of high school, this is my only scholarship I had, offer I had, I should say. They believed in me from the start, and for me, that the belief means everything, in terms of from a coaching staff. Coach Bates, he gives me that belief as well and lets me go out there and play. I give him a lot of credit for my success that I've had in this league, because without that, I feel like I grip my stick a little tighter if I don't have that, and not go out there and I'm not having as much fun. So for me to do it, play here, this whole week here just brings back a lot of memories, a lot of good memories. I love playing on that field. I think there's a great fan group out here, so it's fun playing in front of those passionate lacrosse fans. And yeah, I think it's the best place on earth. So it's fun to play here for sure.
Adam?
Brett, you've always kind of utilized a high arc, but it was especially working today. Are there any particular shots that you like using the high arc more so than others?
It's a good question. I sometimes forget how high out I am, and I think sometimes today it kind of burnt me a bit on it. But I think, honestly, no. I think it's just based on how I'm feeling and who's shooting sometimes. And if I'm maybe not seeing it, I got to step out and try and just be as big as possible. So if you're, on a lower angle, maybe, but not in particularly, no.
Kyle?
Hey, Connor, 4 goals today, 5 total points. What was working for you out there just vision-wise? And then in the conditions like today, how much, if at all, was the new ball color kind of an improvement for seeing it in kind of, uneasy conditions?
Yeah, I think that the ball color definitely helps in seeing in stadiums, with the stadium seating and whatnot, the different elements. So that was great. In terms of, I guess, the goals you mentioned today, I think that's just a credit to Coach Bates. It's a credit to our offense, because without that system, that Coach Bates puts in, giving us space and, letting us go out there under, a set, but also let us play within that set. I think it helps us go out there and play confident and play free. And, the guys out there, I think on that first goal, Matt cleared out and, left that whole side open for me and left so much space. And, I think any of us guys offensively, in this league in general, but especially on our team, you give us too much space, and I think we could take advantage of that. So, it was a credit to, our team offense we play. It doesn't matter who's putting the ball in the back of the net, it just matters it goes in. So, today was my day, but, next weekend could be anyone else's.
Hayden?
Coach, your defense was so dominant, the 32 point game where you felt like you could injure them.
I have no idea.
Your defense was dominant in it's breaking up a bit, Hayden, but defense dominant in the 32, is that the crux of the question?
Yeah, how do you defend in the 32 off the faceoff?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mindset first and foremost. If there's an area of improvement, I thought our wing play was just okay. So there were, I don't know what the number is, but we defended a lot of faceoffs. Sis had won a couple, but I thought their wing play was actually really good. But we get above goal line. We try to take away some space. We know what we want to give up. Coach Resch, Coach Cav. I think we're all on the same mindset of, it's a short clock. We like ourselves in a short clock. I think there's a heightened sense of urgency and communication, and we know what we want to give up, and Dauber's going to make the saves that he wants to when he sees them where he wants them, he's going to save them. So I think in 32, ultimately it's 18 seconds you're defending usually, like that ends up usually pretty well for us.
Kyle?
Yeah, for Brett, this is a Joe Keegan stat for you. You've had 15-plus saves in 50% of your career starts. Vision-wise, what just works for you out there? And I know you're the first one to credit the guys in front of you for making life easier for you, but vision-wise and just seeing the ball so well, just take us through kind of what works for you and what makes it so easy for you to go out there and get those saves.
I mean, the new balls definitely help. I feel like today, I like seeing them. I feel like it helps a lot, but I think it's just being confident. I mean, looking back at my college career, I saw a lot of rubber, and I'll be the first to admit that, but I think that translates well to the pro game. And I think for me, just sticking to my routine and sticking to my roots and sticking to what's got me here, weekly, I think, that's going to allow me to kind of do that. And, sometimes when you're below 50% or below 15, it's going to happen. That's part of the game, but, you try to stay above 50 as much as you can. So you got to look at the film, be better with it, not be too nitpicky for myself, and kind of flush it when you're below it.
Dauber, Brendan Lavelle got the Matt Rambo matchup. How do you think he did?
Did Rambo score tonight?
He
answers my question there, you know. So I think Spida's, there's a reason why we drafted him at 5, and Matt Rambo's an MVP in this league. So he did a great job on him, and I felt like he took pride in that matchup, and I look forward to seeing who he covers the rest of the year.
Coach, lots about this championship rematch tonight. What felt similar this year compared to last year, and what felt different?
I mean, it felt sloppy. It felt like it was the end of training camp. It felt like it was game one, but it also felt like these are two very good teams. You know, I give Coach Staggs, his staff, that team's going to be there in the end. So it had a playoff feel. You know, it really did. It was a close game. It was a, well-played game. Again, I think two really good defenses. So we look at it like we can bank this one, and we're 1-0, and that's going to help us down the line. And frankly, it's a good win against a very good team. So regardless if it was a championship rematch, it's a game one win against a really good team.
Coach, Grant didn't play in that fourth quarter. Did you see what happened, and do you know his status right now immediately after?
No, tough to say. I think just a little bit precautionary. I think, you just want to be smart, especially in this weather, especially that it's game one. He made a comment to me that if it were a championship game, he'd probably still be on the field. And we respect that. Like, this is a long season. It shortens the bench, and guys stepped up. But it's, we're just being smart and conservative. But, we'll see kind of how it progresses throughout the week.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.